Before I show you a video, which is actually a mainstream video from Sky News, showing how Daniel Andrews lied to us to put us in the stage 4. I just want to read today's latest bullshit. Only 24 new mystery cases. It's the mystery cases that's concerning them. Victoria has recorded another 179 new cases. It's all about cases. Straight off. Not deaths. It's all about cases. But only 24 new mystery cases. A sharp drop from the hundreds at the start of August. It's all part of the script. At the start of August, Chairman Dan cited 760 mystery cases. And what he also said, that 800 out of 3,000 supposed cases, when they knocked on their doors, they weren't home. They weren't in isolation. But wait till you see the video at the end that proves what a lie that was. Anyway, that was the catalyst for implementing stage 4. Mystery cases are worrying because they are cases in which the source of the infection can't be linked to known outbreaks or positive cases, and therefore close contacts can't be isolated to curb spread. Yeah, bullshit. The source of infection. Yeah, there's no source of infection. There's no one being infected. There are 3,808 cases from an unknown source. So straight off, there's the chart. New coronavirus cases per day in Victoria. It's not deaths. It's all about cases. And as I keep explaining, there's a nice up, nice down. Then we had this big rest, warning everyone, wait for the second wave. Look at this. A nice up and now a nice down. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up. It's fudged figures. Can't you see that? There's no way known both times it'd be up and down. Yeah. It'd be down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Who knows? But nothing like this shit. And, you know, if everyone's wearing a mask and doing the right thing, why did it even go up in the first place? Let's just keep going with this garbage. Friday's the first time that total number of new cases, it's all about cases, fell below 200. Since July 13, when 177 cases were recorded. Oh, Mr. Andrews was relieved at Friday's total. Bullshit relieved. He's just playing out the script. I like this one. Whilst tomorrow's numbers will be for tomorrow. Is that a brainwave statement or what? Whilst tomorrow's numbers will be tomorrow. Be for tomorrow. Wow. No, I thought tomorrow's numbers would be for next week. That's amazing, that. Anyway, we are all pleased. No, you're not. Yeah, you're all pleased because you've just made the script go. That's all you're pleased about. And pleased about ruining people's lives. They're pleased to see a 1 in front of these additional cases. Let's just stop talking about cases. Andrews, talk about fucking deaths. I couldn't give a fuck about cases. It's a pandemic. Supposedly 12% of the population is supposed to die in a pandemic, not 0.001. Oh, they keep coming up, even though things are better. There is never any positive news. They always going to push this shit. But if we open up today, we would not have defeated the second wave. We would just be starting the third wave. So here we are. We're talking about the third wave now. Guarantee that's coming. And I really don't think anyone in business, in any community, from any background, wants us to do that. Yeah, businesses are absolutely out of this world that they're not open, that they're losing all this money and losing the lives, and it'll never open again. They're absolutely, ecstatic that you're doing this, Chairman Dan. And then this horror, Brett Sutton, comes in, warned that numbers may not continue to fall. See, they just kept coming up with shit, negativity. It's all about, not making you feel good. All scripted bullshit rubbish. The challenge of the next couple of weeks is that, even as the community transmission goes down, those complex outbreak settings that are really hard to get on top of, transmission is in the aged care. Hard to get on top of the aged care if you got in from day one and looked after them, even though it's all fake. But how hard is it to look after aged care homes? where all this is happening, supposedly. Anyway, don't want to go too much. He reiterated that the reduction in mystery cases was more important than the wholesale drop in numbers. So we've got these mystery cases now. I mean, they bring up all these the new bloody terminology, every second day. It's one thing to get 10 cases, but if they're all mystery cases, we don't know where they've come from, and we don't know exactly where to focus. I know where they come from. They come out of your arsehole, because it's all made up. That's where they come from, Sutton. Sorry, I can't abuse you, because the counter-terrorism team came around because I abused you. And there's none of that anymore. There's no abusing personal insults, but you are a horror, and no one likes you. Despite the progress and the challenges posed by stage 4 lockdown, Professor? Fucking professor! All of a sudden, this guy's a professor. Said it was still a balancing act to steer the state out of the pandemic. Look, still no mention of deaths. Oh, look at this! We're gonna grab daily deaths from coronavirus. Well, fucking hell! Looks exactly the same as the cases. Yeah. Exactly the same. You could have pasted one on top of the other. Isn't that amazing? It's like carbon dioxide and global warming. One goes with the other, does it? Bullshit. How can you have that perfectly going up and starting to come down just like that shit? They shouldn't be matching. There's no way known they should be matching perfectly like they do here. But when you fudge the figures and run the script, of course they're gonna. They do as they please. They keep saying this. Professor Sutton said, without severe restrictions, the state could have seen 15,000 to 20,000 cases per day. See, they still talk about cases, even though it's under a graph of deaths. Don't come up with this shit that you've saved all our lives by this severe restrictions. Anyone can make up any shit. Like the clowns at the start of this pandemic, so-called pandemic, said 100,000 Australians are going to die. 100,000 Australians. What's the figure now? 400? 100,000 and like 2 million Americans and 1.5 million Brits. Everyone panicked. Everyone panicked. They saw the fake Chinese dropping dead in the streets. They heard about Boris Johnson, Tom Hanks, Prince Charles testing positive, and we all fell for it. Funny enough, no celebrities are testing positive now. I think that's the picture around the world in terms of how everyone's responded with the restrictions. Yeah, make it out the restrictions are necessary. There were 9 more deaths overnight, bringing the state total to 385. Let's just get the numbers again. The deaths include 1 male in the 60s, 1 female in the 70s, 2 females and 2 males in their 80s, 2 females in their 90s, and 1 male in his hundreds. Oh no, 1 guy in his hundreds. Apparently he was training for the Tokyo Olympics. Well, not this year, but next year. They reckon he was absolutely, he was actually going for the 100-metre sprint, and he did his personal best the other day, and he's died. Oh, fucking, that's staggering news. Our Olympic team will never be the same again without him. Where's all the bullshit? Oh, you can guarantee. Go listen to Andrews. It'll be all about, heartfelt commiserations for all them, especially the guy in his hundreds. Yep, the guy in his hundreds probably fought in World War II, went through all the bullshit throughout his life, but finally, he lived through all that, but finally COVID-19 got him. Well, fucking hell. The guy's unlucky, even to get to 100. Very unlucky, and being killed by COVID-19. But anyway, such is life. Only 7 of the 9 are linked to aged care outbreaks. Wow. There are 626 Victorians who are in hospital. Oh, look, I don't want to hear this shit. All right, that's enough. Now, I'm going to play the video, even though it's on mainstream, and I hate the guy that's talking. They actually, show 100% how this fucking piece of garbage, Andrews, lied to us about those door knocks and how 800 people, nearly, just over a quarter of the supposed 3,000 cases, just weren't home. just went home, and they assume they're not home. They assume that they're walking down the street exercising. But listen to what this video says.
We've got some big news tonight, and it is news that Daniel Andrews tried to hide. It's news the Victorian government didn't want you to know, and it is a major insight into some of the politics that was being played before Victoria was sent into lockdown. Now, jump with me back into the time machine and let's go back a few weeks. Now, you may remember that one of the reasons why there wasn't just a tightening of things in Victoria, but there was the you can't leave your house rule for the best part of 6 weeks, unless it was to go to the shops or unless it was to go for exercise, was because apparently hundreds of people were told to isolate at home because they had coronavirus, but they weren't doing it. Let's go back to July 22, when this started to be something that Premier Daniel Andrews said was a problem that would really need to be dealt with. Have a look.
Unless we have people who get tested staying at home and isolating until they get their results, then we will not see these numbers come down. They will continue to go up and up.
On July 30, again, this number was what was jumping out to him, that apparently 1 in 4 Victorians who were supposed to be staying at home, self-isolating, weren't at home and thus were potentially pushing the virus around Melbourne.
Disappointingly, I have to inform you that there were more than 130 unsuccessful visits, so around 1 in 4 people cannot be found at home. There'll be a multitude of reasons for that, but what I can confirm for you is that more than 100 cases have been referred to Victoria Police. It is simply unacceptable for you to have this virus and not be at home. If you're out doing other things, there may be a handful who are out getting some fresh air. That does not explain these numbers. These numbers go well and truly beyond anything like that. And all that will do is spread the virus.
3 days later, 2nd of August, because this situation had been going on, as he mentioned, on the 22nd of July and the 30th of July, it was time to put in place the lockdown. This was a statement that was released by Daniel Andrews, and this is part of it in written form. We must do more. We must go harder. It's the only way that we'll get to the other side of this. I know Victorians are with me when I say too many people are not taking this seriously, and too many people are not taking this seriously means too many other people are having to plan funerals for those they love. It's why from 6 p.m. tonight, Victoria will enter a state of disaster. The lockdown has followed. People have not been able to go to work. Only 25% of building sites are filled with their workers. And this process extends for 6 weeks. Fast forward to today. Put simply, what Daniel Andrews had suggested on the 22nd of July, on the 30th of July, and was one of the impetus for the state of disaster on August the 2nd, was not true. It's not me making that claim. It was revealed today by a high-ranking member of Victoria Police. Because while you heard numbers like 100 cases were referred to Victoria Police, a grand total of just 42 people have been fined for not being at home when they were supposed to be since all of this thing started. So we're not just talking about July or June, April or May or March. The whole time, just 42 people have been fined for not being at home. Yet because of the lack of people being at home, that was a reason ramped up over days and days and days and days for people to be locked in their homes for 6 weeks in Victoria. I repeat, this is not me saying it. This was Victoria Police who made it very clear today. 2 bits of tape make it absolutely crystal clear. Roll number 1.
In terms of compliance checks undertaken since we commenced this COVID operation, we have conducted checks on over 297,770 people, places and businesses. For breaching isolation, we have issued 42 fines.
So remember, the Premier was back there saying on the 30th of July that 100 cases needed to be investigated by police. Of all of the things that have happened in Victoria, the total number of people who have been fined for not being at home when they were supposed to because of the virus, because they are suspected of having it or had it, are just 42. August the 2nd is when the Premier makes it clear that this constant problem of up to a quarter of people who were supposed to be home not being at home is the justification, not for heavy restrictions. The cases alone were clear. The deaths were happening, the cases were rampant, all in part because of, as we know, the failures of the Victorian government and hotel quarantine. But when the justification for nobody can leave their house because we can't trust the people who are leaving their house, this answer from the high-ranking member of Victoria Police today, something that the Premier and his media team hoped we would miss. Turn up your television, listen to the question, listen to the answer.
For the most part, the community's been outstanding. The community compliance is outstanding.
So 42 people have been fined for not isolating?
Yes.
Out of more than 29,000 spot checks? Yep. So the Premier a few weeks ago said that his data showed, because of the door knocks, about 1 in 4 Victorians weren't isolating. It's clearly a lot lower than 1 in 4, you would say?
Yes. Yeah.
Why was that the case? Because people had a reason. There was a reason why they weren't home. Yet these reasons weren't either being policed well enough or were being ignored by people who wanted to go to stage 4, to lockdowns, to curfews. Again, the police officer explains why, despite the fact that, again, way back when the supposed 100 cases that were sent off resulted in just 42 people for the entire state of Victoria, for the entire time of the pandemic, since it came our way from Wuhan, China in January.
There's a range of reasons people can leave their homes. It could be for medical supplies, it could be for medical attention. So when we've been dealing with the people and we are inquiring into the matter, the reasons they're providing for us were in accordance with the CHAR directions.
Now, I have no doubt that just as it is with hotel quarantine, Daniel Andrews will somehow be able to dance out of it. But if he doesn't have a day tomorrow of very serious questions and very clear answers about the logic here, because either false information was being fed to the Premier as he was making his decisions, or they were looking the other way when the information was starting to tell the story that they didn't want to tell. Either way, it's unacceptable and it matters. Now, we live in a system where we've got very used to the idea of politicians who stand up and give us a whole bunch of numbers, some emotional statements about those numbers, and then the media do their job and run away and report them. When you don't come on to later say that those numbers were wrong, then faith in the announcements being made from the podiums at the state level, well, it starts to fall. Now, I get it. There will be the human shields on Twitter who will say, who cares? Should there have been some sort of a serious situation in Melbourne? No doubt. Hundreds of cases. Lots of people dying. But the curfew that means it is illegal to leave your home after 8 p.m. at night in an Australian capital city, the first time in our lifetimes that this has ever been the case, the justification for it has seemingly been built on very, very loose sand.